What's up, Val? What's up, Matt?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to NorCal Sports Network. Another Sunday of football is in the books. And the Niners get off the snide today in dominating fashion. Coming out, the defense, which has been questioned the last couple of weeks, shows up as it did earlier in the year. And they are all of a sudden thrust into the conversation as one of the top 2 or 3 teams in football again. And we'll break this down today. We'll get into that. We'll cover some of the other games. And heck, we'll even touch a little bit toward the end in the Golden State Warriors and their struggles as they are playing against some taller teams the last 2 nights. Minnesota tonight. Last night it was Cleveland with Allen and, who was the other guy, Los, that they had? Mosley. And then tonight it was the Twin Towers and Rudy Gobert and
Carl Anthony Towns,
the Cat, yep. And
Naz
Reid. Naz Reid.
Wanted Naz Reid on the Warriors.
I did too, yeah. He would be great.
They wanted Corey Joseph instead.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't know what their fascination is with the little guys, but they need some brute strength, man. I think Trace Jackson Davis is going to get a lot more playing time as the season progresses here. But anyway, let's get to the Niners. What was your thoughts? Let's hear it, Los.
Well, it's a great win. It's a bounce back win that they needed. It was a team win. Everybody's going to talk about their defense. Everybody's going to talk about Wilkes coming down, making a difference.
Oh, that made all the difference in the world. Did you see the speed that Wilkes had on the corners there? He played a flawless game today.
Outstanding linebacking play by Wilkes.
Yeah.
For a tackler. Players ultimately make plays or they don't make plays. And these guys were fresh. And Jacksonville was a little overrated coming in. I mean, their offensive line is not one of the better offensive lines in the league. So I thought the D-line would play well. I thought they would stuff the run. And, the offense would do enough.
What'd you think of the secondary?
They made a switch. They took their weakest link, Isaiah Oliver, off the field. So if Wilkes did make that decision, then he didn't need to come down from the booth to make that decision. That was done before the game. He took their weakest link off the field, and he put Lenore in at slot receiver, a slot corner, and put Ambry Thomas, who's kind of been on the bench, back at corner, gave him a chance, and he played well. So,
yeah, I like the move getting Oliver off the field because he was getting beat by everybody. Who was responsible for Ingram today? Was it Warner or was it?
A little of both.
What's that?
A little of both. Warner and Greenlaw took turns. Hufanga took turns playing him.
Also, did Lenore cover him a little bit in the slot, or because I know that's what Oliver was always designed to play, the bigger, taller guys.
Yeah, Oliver is supposed to be good with the tight ends, but he couldn't even cover them this year so
exactly.
Far. So that was a big move. The Niners let Jimmy Ward go, and they replaced him with Oliver, who is a downgrade. So it's like decisions like that can hurt your defense. So it was a great team win. They needed it, but everybody slow the roll. Let's not get back to they're the best team in football type of thing again. I mean, the Jaguars are a good team. They're not a great team. They have a very, very below average offensive line. If the Niners can put this pressure on against a Philadelphia or a Detroit type of great offensive line, then we're talking now. But I'm not gonna be a downsayer. This is a naysayer, I should say. This is a great team win. They needed it, and they need to keep the momentum and take care of business against Tampa Bay.
We'll get to after we break down the Niner game. I want to get into some of the other games and also who your surprise teams are at this point. Sorry, my eye. Gosh, my left eye is still it's dilated because it has to stay dilated since surgery. And man, it's like the light.
Why didn't they give you like a patch, like a Raider patch to put over it?
I'm gonna go put that on. I'll be right back.
Yeah, we won't make fun of
you. I'll tell you, for purely selfish reasons, Trevor Lawrence. Oh my God. Oh my God. 4 points. 4 damn points for Trevor Lawrence. Kirk did well for me. 4 points.
I tell you what, as long as I've been playing fantasy football, I don't ever recall being a projected points 41-point underdog like I was to you.
That was crazy.
And I stood my guns. Like I said, like I was telling you pregame, that I got trade offers. People were trying to trade me booty backup quarterbacks just so I could have a quarterback for this week. And they wanted one of my, main wide receivers or running backs. And I said, no, I'll play with 9 guys. I'm not going to sacrifice. I'll take a loss for the betterment of the long term of the season. I don't want to give up my stable of running backs. And I picked up Mitchell now, the kid from the Ravens, who, if he becomes the starter and he gets more touches, he's electric. So, some guys stepped up. That's fantasy. Yep. That's fantasy. Some guys that you think are going to have big games don't, and some guys that you don't think are going to do much do.
Yep. That is true.
So you were on the power play the whole game, 10 against 9. And
that's crazy. You're like I said, your guys stepped up. I'm like, who are these guys? I've never even heard of them before. And they're just freaking getting points all over the damn place. And of course, CJ Stroud, he's getting hot. So Schultz did okay. He got me like 10 points, but he kept going to Howard, man.
How about the game of the night? The Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders.
Oh, man.
There we go.
Strike your colors, you blooming
Raiders. Yeah, I was pulling for the Raiders because, man, I was playing Bora. His team's like making a late charge. And, man, he put the pressure. The one thing about fantasy, you're watching the games and you're like, okay, Washington's down by 7. And like a couple minutes to go, and they got to drive down the field and score. And I'm like, they're playing Seattle. So I'm like, oh, man, come on. Got to score. Got to beat Seattle for the Niners. But then he's got Howell, and we're in a pretty close game. And I'm like, I don't want Howell to be successful, But then Howell throws a touchdown pass, and it's like he puts up on that drive probably 7-8 points. And I'm like, gosh. But then the worst of everything happens. Seattle goes down the field and cooks a field goal and wins the game as time expires. It's like, if you're going to at least have a struggle in fantasy, hope your teams, help the Niners out. Like I was kind of like today, I'm like, dang, they're crushing Jacksonville. Can you just let ETN get a couple of scores here at the end of the game?
Hey,
that's what I was thinking for Lawrence. At least one touchdown. Come on.
Man.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, of course it goes to fantasy. Yep.
The national spotlight is they were all over Purdy having his, struggles for 3 weeks, but they don't really ever say shit about Trevor Lawrence, Mr. Number 1 draft pick. He's supposed to be doing things, and let's see if they talk about him tomorrow, because this was a spotlight game for him to prove it against a really, really good team.
What'd you think about that throw he did down the sideline to Kittle? That was something, huh?
Hey, I've been waiting for something like that.
That was nice.
Just the deep ball. It's just non-existent.
That was nice
in the Niners offense. So it was nice to see him stand in the pocket And Purdy doesn't have a great arm, but he has a good enough arm. That was a perfect throw in stride. I swear that was so sweet to see because just you're not used to seeing that with the Niners.
He was off his back foot too. He was kind of
off his back foot. Yeah, he didn't even really step into it. So
somebody asked if am I gonna beat Bora?
Yeah, I think so. Right.
Well, I'm down 24 points, and going into tomorrow night, he's got Sutton, so he'll probably get 10 to 12. Is what he's so I might be down 34. But I got Allen and Diggs and Kincaid.
And Kincaid, yeah, you're good.
Well, you never know. I mean, anything can happen in a game, but you just hope they do it early and put up some points.
What'd you think of Feliciano today?
I was just going to mention him.
Love Feliciano out there.
That's a guy that I've been wanting in the starting lineup from the very first week. He's a physical, bigger player. I wanted him to beat out Brendel or Burford. For some reason, the Niners keep playing Burford at right guard, even though he's not having a good year. Brendel's not as good as last year. And it took Banks to get hurt to put Feliciano in, and he played really well. And I don't want to get on my Shanahan rant. I'm going to do that later in the week. I got an invite to go to Baller's show, so I don't want to be a naysayer. But the stubbornness again, like I kind of talk about, like Feliciano is your better player. Play your better player.
How long's Banks out for?
He's got turf toe, so that
a couple more weeks maybe.
That'll be a while.
That could linger. Hopefully 2 weeks. That's what they're saying. But
he's a lineman. He don't need that toe. Just cut it off.
I know that Chaz Chisholm. He had turf toe. He had to get surgery on that turf toe.
Yeah, and when Banks comes back, I'm hoping Feliciano stays in the lineup, preferably at right guard.
I wonder how. I'm curious how Nick Zakel is doing because that guy, he seems like he could play center and give him some more power in the middle.
Brendel's a good player, but he's like a technician. He's a very technically sound center. He's smart, but bigger defensive tackles dominate him. And when the Niners play the big boys like the Eagles and you saw it against Cincinnati. Cincinnati has a really big, strong defensive tackle. He just shoved him around like he wasn't even there. And that's the open-mindedness that I want Shanahan and the coaching staff to have, to know what it is and have certain plays or players to be able to go against them, to not be so stubborn and keep sticking the same guys out there, even though there's somebody better on the bench. Now, there's that are not playing. I'm not going to get into it tonight. But
I think we're losing Lewis.
You're frozen.
Yeah, his internet's acting up. Someone else is using the internet. Hey, Lewis, come back in. Maybe restart the computer or something. Come back in.
Go call Cox.
I go ahead. I removed him. When I see him come back, I'll put him back in.
He's still frozen down there.
Yeah, he's still frozen down there.
Man.
Sean Crowley says, hey, Mason can't get any love on the ground.
Yeah. I think I'm if I'm Los, man, I'm down there at Cox headquarters tomorrow morning. I'm like wringing necks.
Yeah, that's a bunch of crap. Yeah, that's a bunch of crap. Yeah, he's still I think he totally he's back over here now.
Back in.
There he is.
Time to make a visit down to Cox, man.
I invested into the hardwire and to these Nighthawk things, so
jeez.
Yeah.
Hey, Los, I'm gonna kick your old self off here. Hopefully, it doesn't kick you. Hold on one second. All right, we're good. Okay.
So today's game, hockey always has star, the third star, the second star, and then the star. Who's your 3 stars for today's game?
Ooh.
Niners.
You mean like the hockey way?
Yeah, like the hockey way. Yeah, they announced the 3 stars.
Refresh my memory. The best players, the 1 star or the 3rd star?
Right.
The best player is the last one. Yeah, so they announced the third number 3,
Three,
then
two,
2,
one.
and then 1. Yeah.
Go ahead, Eric. What do you think?
I'm thinking number 3. Let's go with Thomas. I'll go that with a number 3. Number 2. I'm gonna say Bosa just because he kind of looked Bosa-like. Number 1, I'll say Purdy.
What do you got, Eric? I mean, Los.
I'm gonna go Feliciano third because he's a new guy, just thrust into the lineup, and he held his own. In fact, he played very well. I was kind of watching him isolated. He moved the pile in the running game and did well in the pass blocking. Number 2, I like Ambry Thomas. I like that pick. He's a guy that's kind of been in the doghouse for a long time.
And he got a touchdown taken away from him.
Oh, wow.
Ain't that some
bonehead
bullshit?
play by this
That
whole
reminded me of
squad.
the Washington game the day before.
Yeah, I mean, he got the fumble and the touchdown, but I mean, he played solid coverage all, game long. So it's easy to talk about the guys, the superstar players, but I like those 2 guys because they kind of came out of nowhere.
What's up, Daniel?
And then Purdy just, he has to be number 1. Played really well.
Yeah, those are good picks. I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to name the third. I'm just going to name the entire defensive line because I think they played great as a unit today. They were running stunts. They were putting pressure. It was like group sacks, not just individual sacks. So I thought the defensive line, they've probably been hearing, where they've been all year,
Yeah, good point.
And, it was Cleveland Farrell and Bosa and Hargrave and Chase Young and Bosa sandwiching them. It was relentless pressure. And what that did for the defense, it allowed the DBs to play one-on-one because they had to get rid of the ball quickly. And there was no time, to just sit back and in a zone and pick it apart. So I'm taking the D-line. And then number 2, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to go George. No, I'm going to go. I want to go Kittle or Ayuk. Gosh.
They both
It's a
had good
toss-up.
games.
They both had really good games. I'm going to go Kittle. That was such an awesome play to open up the second half, the long bomb, and then a couple of his other catches. And then Purdy, I'll take 1. Purdy looked really good. That throw to the first touchdown to Ayuk, man, I don't know if he could do that. If he did that 10 times, if he could do that twice.
That's threading the needle, isn't it? My goodness.
That's not the first time that 2 49er receivers are in the same area, and that's asking for an interception. Like Kittle was right in front of Ayuk. It was kind of a broken play. And when you have 2 guys there, that means you're going to have 2 or 3 defenders there. Yeah. So it wasn't a great play, but it worked out well. He threw enough loft. If it had come up a little short, the DB was right there to pick it off.
He had a couple of passes today that had some zip on it. That one, it looked like he was kind of going away from his body a little bit, and it had a wobble on it, that throw. It wasn't a clean spiral. That ball, I know, and he was, like I said, he was really having to throw quickly off of his back foot on his wrong side. But if he had time to zip that thing in there, that would have been fine. Because, the fact that he kind of just threw it up there, I think, more times than not, that ball either gets knocked down or gets picked.
Yeah. I think people forget also, too, Dan, that, Purdy came off a pretty bad injury.
Yeah.
And they said it's about a 6-month injury. So even though he started the year, technically healthy, I don't know if he was 100%. I mean, he was enough to get by. He might have been at like maybe 85 to 90%. So now we're 2.5 months into the season, and maybe that elbow is getting stronger. So maybe his arm strength, because I don't know if he could make that throw he made to Kittle for the touchdown. I don't know if he could have made that week 1 through 4.
Yeah.
He did not step into that throw. Like Eric said, it was off his back leg, and it went about 40, 45 yards on the air. And the key was it was on the sidelines. It wasn't typical 49er over the middle type of throw. That is the first touchdown I have seen in the Shanahan era that's been a long pass on the sideline. There's been a couple down the middle. One was Garoppolo to Emmanuel Sanders against New Orleans.
Yeah.
And then Garoppolo hit Kittle over the middle for a long touchdown. But I have not seen in Shanahan's 6 years here one long touchdown along the sideline. That was the first. So if Purdy can hit that deep, man, that opens up everything. The offense will become even more spectacular. So it's good to see.
Yeah.
And that was our tight end. There wasn't even a receiver.
Hey, Dan, hold on here. I got something to show you. You guys are talking about this. Hold on one second here. Coming right up. I was just happening to look through Twitter right now. Pretty cool view. Have you seen this yet?
What is that?
Nice.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Oh, what made that even more sweet is I had a prop bet on Ayuk to have the first touchdown of the game at 10-1.
Nice.
I like how you can hear the footsteps. You can hear them just, trying to scramble, get where they needed to be. That was awesome.
I'll tell you, when you're down on the field, I've been, obviously I played at it, but I've also been down on the field for some games when I was Cal I'm telling you.
Whole different experience.
Yeah, you do not, when you're
at eye level, it's different. Yeah.
But when you get to be older and you realize how brittle things are, man, and you hear those hits, you do not want to be out there. You can look at it, go, I can do that. I can get out there. And no, this is a. Do
you think Purdy was trying to hit Kittle, or is he trying to hit Ayuk? Because Ayuk was kind of hidden back there a little bit.
I would hope he was going to Ayuk because that's where it went. But that was. I think he was going for Ayuk.
That perspective. I like that perspective. That was cool.
He is a he is a risk taker. He was at Iowa State. A lot of INTs at Iowa State. He takes risk, and with risk comes great reward, and sometimes it comes costly at when it could cost you a ball game. He's just got to be smarter and realize certain times you just have to throw it away or go down. Don't try and like I thought the play he did today where he was falling and he just flipped it. That he should have just taken the sack. He flipped it. It almost got picked off.
Yeah.
He's not. Brett Favre was that kind of way, and Brett Favre, I believe, has all-time leader in interceptions.
He does. He's a gunslinger. He did not care.
So he just.
I'll throw a pick to make 2 or 3 big plays. He did not care. That's absolutely true. And
Brett Favre's last pass of his career was an INT against the Saints in the NFC Championship. All he had to do, hold on to the ball. Minnesota kicks a field goal, probably goes to the Super Bowl. He throws a stupid, crazy pass, trying to be the hero, gets picked off. New Orleans comes down, wins it with their field goal, go to the Super Bowl. Favre doesn't. That was it.
Yeah.
That was it. So
that team was really good too.
It was very good. Yes.
Really good. That was just such a such a chancy decision. He did not need to take it. He could have just ran for like 10 or 15 yards.
Yeah, he could. Exactly. I don't know. Yeah. Dang. Did he play? Eddie K said he played the next year. I don't remember him playing the next year. I thought that was it for him. Maybe he did play the next year.
What's up, senior? Hey, I sent you a text, man.
Now, you see, senior softball games recognizes and appreciates my GM moves.
Absolutely.
He didn't say anything about it being lucky. So thank you, senior. You recognize.
No, there was
luck.
There was some management in there. No, when you go, your reasoning for Brown,
yes,
and your reason, and you really didn't have any other choices. You didn't have. I mean, sometimes it's better to do what you did, and I don't know why you had Hundley though. I don't know why you just didn't pick up.
There was nobody that was playing.
Nobody was playing that was
Not
available.
One quarterback on waivers was starting. Not one. Otherwise, I would have picked him up. Although Huntley gave about the same as who was the quarterback for the Giants, DeVito. He didn't do too much.
Oh God.
You were going to give me Minshew. I think he would have given me a whopping 4 points.
Five, yeah.
5 total points. So I just said, hey, I'm going to take – I had Huntley already in the roster. I was like –
Los didn't need him, man. He kicked my ass.
I didn't need him, but I thought, hey, maybe Baltimore might blow out Cleveland, even though I picked them in the pick.
Well, let's take a look at that real quick and see what else.
So thank you, Senior. I appreciate the appreciation.
Let's see. The bad
Romo had to have some guys not play. See, I wanted to give my appreciation to Eric for doing the reverse mortgage ad for me. So I thought, I'm just going to start 9 guys against them. I was trying to gift wrap them an early Christmas present win.
What is it? 8 players you play. You play 8 players, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 plus defense. So you played 7. You really could have got away with 4.
Could have, yeah.
You could have played 4. You could have skipped Addison and Jacobs and Otten and still won.
Yep.
Eric?
Yeah, just that happens in fantasy. Otten, Jesus, I thought that guy would step up.
There you go. You beat me to it. I was looking for it. Eric laid a big.
That's a big one.
Man.
That's a big one. What is up, Ryan? He says the Warriors are cooked. I'm guessing we'll get into that in a little bit, huh?
West Coast bias. The Warriors are cooked. Hey, you want to come in, Ryan? We're just wrapping. I'll send you the link.
Ryan is the biggest Warriors optimist. I'm surprised he's already saying that they're cooked.
They look a little bit.
I've said it from game
against
1.
The bigger teams. The bigger teams.
They are too small. We're always going to have trouble against bigger teams, more athletic teams. That's just the way it is. They can only win one way against those teams. Shoot well. And Klay Thompson, it's painful to watch him right now. He missed a wide open layup. There was nobody near him. A layup. I mean, he's real, and he's throwing away a lot of passes. Thankfully, management has not given him 4 years and $130 million.
I think the Warriors are going to be about a 45, 46 win team this year, and
they'll be a playoff team. Sure.
I think they'll make the playoffs. I think they'll be okay. They're going to have to figure some things out, when it comes to these bigger teams, and
there's not much to figure out. You can't grow any taller. They committed to having 8-9 guards on their team.
Well, they got this guy. They got this guy in two-way contract. Haven't seen him much. He's I can't remember his name. Big fella. He's out there. He can play so many games. Help you off the bench. Maybe I don't know if he's much of a player, but
Curry's having to expend himself every game because he does not have a second scorer.
Yeah, and Wiggins doesn't look good
at all.
I mean, his shot. I mean, his shot looks like. I mean, it'd be great for a base hit between the shortstop and third baseman, a line drive. I mean that shot has no arc on it. It's just like
it's a line drive.
Yeah, I mean, you think he's like shooting rockets out of Gaza. I mean, come on, just put a little arc on that puppy. It's like, man. And CP three shot has not been very good outside his normal,
He's a brick from 3-point land. He needs
15,
to stick with mid-range.
15 and in his mid-range shots. I mean, I think they've had what? They've lost 2 to Cleveland. Now Minnesota. Now they got Minnesota again next game on Tuesday. That's not going to be easy, man.
Well, what's frustrating is even when the Warriors, shoot well and it comes down to a close game, the other team is going to run like the Lakers killed them in the playoffs. They're going to, if it's a close game and it comes down to, the last few seconds, the other team is going to run some kind of pick and roll, have some big guy go in the basket and shoot a very high percentage shot. The Warriors are going to throw it around the perimeter and shoot a 3. And as great as the Warriors are shooting, a 3-point basket at best is about a 40% make. A layup or a dunk is about 90%. So that's always been my argument. It's just math. It's just simple percentages and math. If the other team is shooting a lot higher, easier, the other teams get easy baskets. The Warriors, if you watch their games, their baskets are not easy. They're all kind of challenging or challenged. If they go to the basket, there's bigger guys there waiting for them. I mean, Kuminga's got some hops, and he was denied quite a few times tonight. So for the Warriors' formula to win is they shoot well from threes. If they don't, they're cooked. That's frustrating. That's a frustrating formula to be your only way to win.
It is. Hey, let's get back to some NFL scores today, and I want to get your thoughts on the on surprises, teams that are surprising you right now. And we did our picks last night. I think we all. Let's see. I picked the Pats. Who'd you pick, Eric? Patriots?
I picked the Colts.
I picked the Colts.
All right. You picked the Texans too, didn't you, Los? And while we picked the Bengals?
No, I wanted to pick the Texans. I thought it would be a big win for them, and they've been playing well, but I did technically pick the Bengals.
I'm
not surprised. I'm not surprised the Texans won. I'm
not either. They're to me, they're the surprise team right now.
Hey, DeMeco Ryans right now is coach of the year.
Yeah, man.
Because nobody expected the Texans to be in contention for the division.
Yeah,
they are playing good football.
Now, I did pick the Vikings while you two picked the Saints.
I did pick the Saints, yeah.
I think we all three picked the Steelers, right? Or did anybody?
Yeah, we did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I picked the.
Ooh, I picked the Titans.
I did. No, I picked the Bucs.
No, I think I did pick the Bucs.
Bucs.
I said home. I said home field advantage.
I picked Tampa.
No, somebody picked the Titans.
I could have sworn I said home field for Buccaneers.
Yeah, I wasn't me. I picked Tampa.
I thought you went with the Titans, Eric. But
maybe. Well, I got to go back and watch the show.
All right.
I know I'm the one that picked the Niners.
Yeah,
you're the only one that picked the Niners. Yep.
I did the Jags for. Remember, I said I hope it's a little reverse psychology because I've been picking the Niners for the first 8, and I was like, so I'll keep picking against the Niners if they keep winning. I'll take the fall.
I know. I picked the Browns.
I picked the Ravens.
You both picked the Ravens.
I picked the Ravens.
Remember, I said Cleveland loves to beat Baltimore with that whole moving. They're still holding a grudge about.
Oh man,
we all picked the Falcons.
Man, the Falcons. Arthur Smith. Can we just fire the dude right now? Seriously. Although he did give Bijan the ball a little bit more, but he's still sticking Algiers out there. Bijan. If I pull up the box score, does it show up?
There it is.
Can you guys see that?
Rushing, there it is. 22 carries for 95 yards.
Look at that. He's averaging almost 5 yards a carry, and then he gives the ball to Algiers, who averages just over 3. It's like Bijan is actually doing – I watched him today because I have him now in my fantasy. I'm like, the guy's really good. Give him the ball. He's young. He's not like running backs last maybe 5-6 good years, right? Roughly in the league. Might as well use them while they're young because if you want a job, Arthur. All right, so let me go back to the games.
I saw Keontae Ingram spelled with an I got 2 yards.
Hey, what a way to go. Might be the worst back in the league. Him and Deion Jackson.
Dan was trying to trade me Ingram, and part of that package would give me Sean Ingram, I think.
I had a trade offer for Jahan Dotson, who didn't do nothing today, and Devin Singletary for Minshew. I kind of wish I would have took it, but I still wouldn't have played Singletary. He had a fluke game today.
Dotson was a surprise. Dotson's been very hot lately.
No. Yeah, and then he did nothing.
What's up, Ryan?
I don't know how Singletary got 100.
What's up, Ryan?
Tell me how Devin Singletary got 150 yards on the ground.
I don't know, but it made me very ornery.
No idea.
I mean, did he like get some of those yards like just before the half when the rest of the team, when the defense left, and he got an 89-yard run? I mean, he's been horrible this year. Like he's been like a fly. You touch him and he goes down.
Well, he was horrible with Buffalo last year. I had him. In fact, I have Cook this year. This will be the last time I have a Buffalo running back on my fantasy roster. As long as Allen is there, they don't touch the ball. Thank God I don't need him tomorrow, really.
Right,
but Singletary is getting established because, quite frankly, C.J. Stroud is becoming dominant. So teams have to respect the pass, and that opens up running lanes.
Game of the day. Well, actually, Baltimore-Cleveland was a great game, but this
was a good.
But the Lions-Chargers was fun because it was back and forth.
Lions are no joke.
It was never in doubt, though.
I didn't think it was either. I didn't think it was. Chargers are. I mean, just remember who's on the sidelines for the Chargers. Okay, Brandon Staley, the guy cannot survive another year. I don't see how he comes back as. I mean, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. We'll look at the standings here shortly when we finish the rest of these games. Obviously, the Cowboys, Giants, we knew that was a rout. Seahawks pull another one off. And the Raiders.
Seahawks aren't all that. If they're struggling to beat that Washington team that just traded their 2 best defensive linemen, then if the Niners play at the top of their game,
I'm not afraid of Seattle. Yeah. Let's take a look at the standings. Are these showing up when I hit them?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah.
All right. So let's take a look at the actual playoff right now in the AFC. If the playoffs were today, the Houston Texans would make it. The Bengals would be out.
Ooh, I love it.
Now, we did a show recently where we picked our playoff teams, didn't we? Yeah. So the Chiefs at the top. You know something that's crazy that I heard the other day, and when I heard it, I said, "Oh yeah, that's right." You wouldn't think it would be right, but Patrick Mahomes has never played a road playoff game.
Never.
That's crazy.
He won't this year either.
That sucks.
The league
Come on. Someone's got to take him down.
Brady did.
I mean, now Monday night, a week from tomorrow night, will be Kansas City. It's Monday night, right? Right?
Yeah. Eagles are 2.5-point underdogs.
Now, I can't stand the Chiefs, but I'm going to be pulling for the Chiefs, obviously, because it helps the Niners. But it's like the Chiefs figure out how to win these big games. You know, like
they
had Miami. They just have a plan. So
their team can come from behind.
Which team, if any team on that list right there, and then, look at the Bills on the outside looking in too. My goodness. Who's going to make let's take a look at the 9 teams. You can say 10. There's no way Indy's making it. Let's just look at those 9 right there. Of the 7, 2 of those teams are going to be gone. Who are they?
Steelers are not going to last.
Yeah, I think the Steelers. I think the Steelers and the Texans fall out.
Yeah, maybe the
Steelers suck.
Man, but the way CJ is playing, if he keeps it up,
I think Jacksonville might fall out. They kind of got exposed today. I mean, they're a good team. They're not a great team. So,
but who's in their division?
Right now, I think I would take Houston over Jacksonville.
Houston, you think Houston can win that division over Jacksonville?
I've got it. I've got the bet. But
Do you really?
yeah, but
You got them winning the
Jackson-
division?
Yeah, 6-1, baby.
Nice.
But I feel pretty confident in the Jags. Like, I bet against them 3 weeks in a row coming into this Niners game. I mean, it comes down to, like, I guess Vegas doesn't really respect this team as much. I honestly can't really explain why they were so bad today. I think they're going to be pretty good, and I mean, they're going to beat the Titans next week. Now, what's interesting is, like, they weirdly suck against the Texans, and they've at Texas. Ooh,
Who does? Jacksonville?
Jacksonville.
Well, that's right. They can't beat.
Styles make fights.
Trevor Lawrence, 9 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, I think.
I'm telling you, all that hype around Lawrence, they better get on him like
Okay,
they did Curry the
So
last
one of those teams is going to be in, one's going to be out because the AFC South is not getting 2 teams, I don't think. So it's either Jacksonville or Houston. I think the AFC West gets 1 team. I don't think the Chargers make it.
No.
I think the Dolphins, I think the Ravens and the Browns make it, and the Bengals in the that's 3 teams in the North. And then is it going to be 1 or 2 teams? Is Miami or Buffalo? I think Miami makes it, but does Buffalo turn it on? And I think Buffalo. I got to look at their schedule, but I think somehow they finish 11-6 or 10-7 and get in.
Their schedule's hard.
Is it?
They have at Eagles, at Chiefs, home Cowboys,
Ooh, wow.
at Chargers, and at Dolphins at the end of the year. I
Ooh,
think
Bills.
I think the Bills missed the playoffs.
Ooh.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Browns fall out of it, even though they got a big win today. I don't trust their quarterbacks when it
So
comes
if
down.
Buffalo falls out of the playoff picture, is there a shakeup in Buffalo? McDermott's got to go?
Well, the Niners are rumored to be hiring Ken Dorsey, so they might lose their offensive coordinator.
Hiring Ken Dorsey is what?
I'm joking because that's what
Oh.
Larry was saying they should do. They should fire Shanahan and hire Ken Dorsey last year, like week 4 of the season.
No.
Ken Dorsey is head coach, not coordinator. That's what Larry wants.
No, yeah, or no. Well, no. This was last year. It was like when shit was going real bad. I think it was like right after the Jimmy Broncos game where he stepped out of the back of the end zone, and the Niners were like 2-4 or something.
Well, that was the second game of the year, wasn't it?
It was after one of those bad losses.
Yeah,
They all blend
yeah.
together.
Anyway, I think McDermott. Who was it that I heard? Was it Colin Cowherd that talked about?
Cowherd is like he's like on this whole thing like defensive coaches don't win anymore. Look at the league. Offensive coach, they got to get an offensive coach.
Well, he said something about with McDermott. You can only go so far with him. He's taken the Bills as far as he can take them because he doesn't. He hasn't developed a running back. The running back is Josh Allen. And that Josh Allen at this pace is going to get himself, he's going to Cam Newton himself.
Facts. I think he's hurt this year.
Shoulder a little bit.
See, what would suck is if the Bengals didn't make it in the playoffs because they're the scariest team, like for the Chiefs. Like they're the team the Chiefs don't want to play. But they're playing. I mean, if they don't beat the Ravens on Thursday, all of a sudden they're 5-5.
That team is really hard to figure out. I mean, they look like a Super Bowl contender against the Niners, but then the Niners were kind of banged up and lifeless. So who really knows? But I mean, Houston took it to them today. It was no fluke. I mean, they really physically took it to them. I thought the Bengals had a better defense than that, but Stroud and that offense is hot right now. That's why I picked up Noah Brown.
Shut up!
Noah? I got Noah Brown.
Hey, you know what? Last week he had over 150 yards, and today he had 172 yards. Like he's not coming out of my
yeah,
lineup.
there you go. Okay, there you go.
Who has Tony Pollard
They
in
throw
our
the
league?
ball.
Haruku.
Haruku.
Ooh, I picked up Dowdle because I had a feeling.
He did all right too, didn't he?
Dowdle had like 80 yards and a touchdown. Pollard flopped again in like the all-time great spot. I don't know what's wrong with Tony.
What do you think of Fournette? You think he's going to take over the job eventually?
Nah.
In Buffalo?
Nah, he'll just make it annoying for the other owners of the other running backs.
Yeah. James.
I mean, do you think they maybe picked him up to go to because I think Buffalo's got to find a running game and a short passing game out of the backfield.
I think they like him a little bit in the passing, but like if you remember at the beginning of the year, like they wanted to do the three-headed monster thing where they had James Cook, Damian Harris, and Murray. Then they lost Damian Harris, and then I don't know, for whatever reason they just like Cook seems like really good, but
Buffalo
they just don't really.
They don't commit to running.
No,
like Cook is good. He can catch the ball. And I have seen Allen so many times have Cook open for an easy 8 to 10 yards. There's nobody around him. He wants to chuck it downfield into double, triple coverage. He wants to show off that arm.
That's true.
Cook could be with the quarterback that's a little more patient. Cook could really be a good fantasy player, but no, they don't commit to the running game at all. So even if they do have Fournette in there, I don't think they're going to commit to it. They're just a passing team.
Fournette will like eat into some of the goal lining work that Murray was getting, and then he'll also eat into some of the pass game work that Cook got. So basically, he's just a crappy fantasy person. Dang it, I'm going to lose in our league. That sucks. I didn't even realize. I thought I had it locked up because Dak went crazy.
Yeah, Dak 40 some odd points today.
What a baby. I don't know why. It disgusted me watching the Cowboys today. I just because like.
And to hear their fans beat their chests for beating a junior varsity team.
They're playing a junior varsity team. The fact that Tommy DeVito even scored a touchdown is shame on your franchise. And like they're like up 30 points and like they're just running like empty and just like chucking it down the field. And it's like, what are you trying to like prove here?
Oh, I didn't watch that game. Is that why the announcer said with the coach's handshake, is there going to be an issue between Dable and McCarthy? Is that what they were?
Oh, possibly. I mean, it was kind of like some Bush League stuff.
Really?
I mean, I think so. I mean, like, what the hell are you doing throwing Dak Prescott ended up with like 450 yards or something. Like they got CeeDee Lamb the record. It just was like didn't make any sense. Didn't make any sense.
You have a shot tomorrow because what do you got? You got Russell Wilson.
Russell Wilson versus Gabe
Buffalo's
Davis and Buffalo D. So if Russell Wilson does well, that's correlated to the Buffalo D not doing as well. So yeah, I mean, I got a shot.
Yeah. But it isn't Buffalo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he'll have to get a lot of yards on the ground and maybe rush for a touchdown or two.
So you guys already did your Warrior segment.
Kind of. We can go back to it.
I'm panic button time.
Well, let me do this real quick while we're on this. Let's hit the NFC real quick.
All right.
There's your 9 teams, and it looks like the 7 that are already there. Look at the Vikings, man, on a roll. I think the 6 teams that make the 7 teams that make the playoffs are the top 7 right there. I mean,
well, I tell you,
Bucks are going to lose this week.
Playing with a chip on his shoulder in Minnesota. He's playing with a chip. I don't know if he can sustain it, but he's playing with a big chip on his shoulder. Like, oh, okay, you didn't want me, Arizona.
Yeah, it's a real shame. Like they lost Cousins because it was weird at the I was hearing like a lot of like smart betting podcasts like saying like, and I thought this was like them being like douchey and like just dismissive of like record and stuff like that. But they were like all saying that this year's Vikings team like was higher power rated than last year's Vikings team, even though they were 0-4 and last year's team was like 13-3, but they won all those super close games. And this year they were losing them. But it seems like they were right because their defense is like super legit. And like they don't have Jefferson and like what the hell? I mean, Dobbs is fine. Like he should not be able to do that. He shouldn't be able to do that to the Saints defense.
Yeah, that game.
The Saints are bums.
Saints are very average.
I hate it. Just relegate the whole NFC South.
Scroll down a little bit, Dan. Tampa stinks. Washington stinks. Atlanta stinks. Man, Jesus, man. If the Rams could ever get their
the Niners
together,
can do what they did last year.
Back.
Should be back next.
What's that?
She should.
Might be back next week. I mean, honestly, like usually if I'm doing this exercise in my brain, I'm like, well, I mean, let's be realistic. Like Josh Dobbs isn't, he's not taking the Vikings to the playoffs. Like, and then I would go down the list and find like the better quarterback and say that team is going to make it. But like you go down the list and it's like, all right, sure, they have Josh Dobbs, but it's like the Bucs have Baker Mayfield. The Commanders, I mean, actually not bad with Sam Howell, but still like Sam Howell. Looks like Desmond Ritter is going to be going for the Falcons. Jordan Love's trash. Matt Stafford's banged up and they're too far behind. Like Justin Fields and Teabag, DeVito. So it's like Josh Dobbs probably is where they should be, is the 7th seed.
Yeah.
I started Sam Howell over Justin Herbert in my other league, and I was like, oh man, but Herbert got,
Howell does pretty well for fantasy.
Howell got that third touchdown to break it about even. Herbert's weapons are going down left and right.
Did Allen go down again finally?
He did go down.
Really?
He's already lost Mike Williams. He's lost Palmer, and now he's lost Allen.
Is Allen out for a while, or is it just a?
I think it was a shoulder, so I don't know how severe it was.
Yeah.
He has that weird. He has that weird shoulder thing where like it's like permanently. Like if you've ever seen him like without his pads on, like it looks like effed up. Like it's like. Ugh. I'll find a photo of it.
He didn't come back today, did he? After he went out, I don't think
even realize he went out.
He did not.
Looking at this next 4 games though for the Niners, you've got Tampa, Seattle, Philly, Seattle. If they were to win the next 4, the division's done. They will pretty much wrap up the division after 13 games. Because they would be 2 games, technically 3 ahead of Seattle, because they'd have to lose 3 of their last, 4? 10-3, yeah. So plus, if the Niners can focus and do and just play their game, these next 4, I think it puts them in position for the number 1 seed right there. Because I think the Eagles lose a game before they play the Niners. I don't know. They've got KC, and they've got who else? They got somebody else tough, don't they, Rye?
The Eagles?
Schedule's tough. Yeah, it's a tough schedule.
What the hell is that?
Yeah. So that's just is his shoulder.
What is?
It's like permanently like screwed. Like
is that his collarbone?
It's like I don't even know. Like it's like so dislocated, but that's just is his shoulder.
It looks like the alien is trying to come out or something. That's nasty.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I'm guessing it's probably related to that.
Dang.
Blech.
Blech.
So Niners, they got a. Yeah, they just got. I think the 3 losses in a row definitely was a wake up for them. And we'll now go into each game taking it one at a time. So we'll see. But so the NFC looks a little bit clearer than the AFC. That AFC is really crowded. And you've got some teams that are just on the outside sitting there at 5-5. I think the Chargers, if they lose, who's the Chargers play next week? Let me look here. Chargers.
Justin Herbert loses another close game.
Green Bay.
They're at Green Bay. They could lose that game.
Oh, my God.
They could lose that game. If they lose next week, here's my prediction. Brandon Staley gets fired after the game.
No.
If they lose to the Packers, Brandon Staley gets fired a week from tomorrow.
Does Kellen Moore get elevated to head coach?
Yes.
Probably get grease the skids for Belichick coming to Los Angeles.
Could be.
He was my first coach to be fired this year. I didn't see Josh Daniels. Didn't Daniels have like a 7-year deal or something, 6 or 7-year deal?
Yeah, just something nuts.
So between Gruden and Josh Daniels, there's like they're paying combined for like another 12, 13 years, 14 years.
Stupid.
Oh my goodness. All right, let's hop on over to the NBA. Oops, my finger keeps touching that. There we go.
I'm looking at these look ahead lines, like trying to see if there's anything to snipe before they move. Like these next week is going to be a difficult week to bet.
Look at the Cavs? They're 4-5.
Ryan, basketball is the most brutal sport to bet on. I swear.
I'll tell you that. To me,
try to stay away from basketball.
I have done 2 15-team parlays in college football the last 2 weeks. I'm 28 for 30, and I'm empty. I'm 14 of 15 each week.
That's why it just doesn't pay to really do.
Doggone it! Wisconsin, you suck. Air Force, you suck.
Oh, I hated that Air Force game.
Okay, so it's Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Cub Scouts, Boy Scouts, the Peace Corps, the National Guard, and who's the Coast Guard? The Coast Guard and the Air Force. That's how low you've dropped, in my opinion, Air Force.
Hey.
And you're from the Air Force.
Has the Coast Guard ever had a football team?
There we go. Got rid of the Air Force.
I've got a juicy Dan. Would you be willing to bet against Army next week?
Yeah, who's playing Army?
Coastal Carolina, and they are. Andrew tipped me off to them. They're just like auto bets every week. I think they're 8-2 ATS against the spread this year. They've won like the past 4 weeks. I bet on them every week, and it's just so enjoyable. They just always win and always cover. And I guess it was like same thing last year, same thing the year before. Like they're a little secret nobody knows about. They just cover like every game.
You taking the spread or the money line?
Oh, both, baby.
Both.
Well, It depends if they're underdogs. I always take both. But
okay, I might bet that. Shoot, yeah.
Coastal -5.5.
-5.5 at where?
At Army.
Army. I don't know how they beat Air Force so bad. I mean,
Wishbone.
Jeez.
You don't see it very often. It's hard to practice against it.
Oh gosh, I tell you that was a big bet, man. I would have won three. I would have won a lot. $3,000 on that.
So yeah,
on
basketball.
a $100 bet.
Oh, I'm like, I've been watching a lot of just the league as a whole, and I'm usually like the last person to jump off the Warriors bandwagon because I just have so much hope in them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there is now hit like a critical point in the league where it's just even the bad teams are so talented, and then there's just so much talent everywhere. And there's so many just giant, freaky, long, athletic people on every team.
Bingo.
Skilled guys on every team. And I just don't think that this Warriors team they're not going to be able to win, 3 rounds in a row to get to the NBA finals. They're going to have to play a very specific set of teams in a row if they're going to make it there. Like they're like, I'm listening to like Kalena and Fitz, and it's like they're like, oh, it's just the shooting. Like, this team is built to, get out and pace and shooting. That's they give up the size, but it's all, it's because they're, sharpshooters and it's their shooting. But it's like they're a small old team with like no juice outside of Curry. That honestly, they're the only thing that can save them is shooting, and really Steph is their only like reliable shooter at this point. Like he's the most reliable shooter in the league, but like Clay, you can't bank on. I mean, you could bank on him in like the corner for a kick out, but other than that, what do you have? I mean, you surround him with like Draymond. They don't even have to guard Draymond. Like Kaminga, like, okay, you know, he could.
They don't have to guard Looney either.
Moody, Looney, GP2, like Wiggins. What? Like, where's their advantage? It actually, I was talking to Frank on text, and I was like, this offense feels like the Chiefs offense this year, where it's like it's Mahomes, but like there's just no help except for kind of an older Travis Kelce, and like that older Travis Kelce would be like Clay. And it's like, but there's just no help. And so it's like, yeah, like Mahomes can win some games on his own, but luckily they have an elite defense. The Warriors don't have an elite defense. So it's just like a crappy offense that's very matchup dependent and like a pretty shitty defense. And
the key is how long is Dunleavy and Kerr going to be stubborn and think that this is going to work before they try to package up a trade? Because the longer Wiggins keeps putting up 6-7 points a game, the more his stock drops, and people are going to give up less for him. Remember at the beginning of the season, Ryan, on Larry's channel, I was on the chat and I said, "Hey, trade Wiggins for Robert Williams."
Well, I mean,
that's off the table now. Can't do that anymore.
Well, and Rob Williams is injured, but
and
like,
injured, yeah.
But so like that actually was great thinking.
But that I mean, they just need to get bigger. They think they're always going to outshoot every team, and it's frustrating that's the only way you can win. The Warriors used to be able to, when they did have an off shooting night, their defense would kind of pick up and win a game for them. They can't do that. I don't care what the rebounding number says. My eyes tell me that they give up a lot of offensive rebounds and putbacks and ones. And just look at Curry's body language. Like, he's exhausted.
It's bad.
It's bad. He's completely.
Yep. He's firing shots from way out now, just without even hardly getting set.
Clay and Wiggins are so hard to watch right now. Clay's shot is not there. He just lives at the 3-point line. He doesn't want to post up, even though he's 6'7". He bricked a wide open layup today. How many times have you seen the Warriors do this? They'll drive to the basket, get up in the air, try to throw it back. Oh, picked off. Because there's a guy right there to block their shots because they're so small.
And like the lineup, like
Kerr and Dunleavy. Go ahead.
The lineup Kerr like runs like with like when it's Chris Paul, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, all out there at the same freaking time.
Yeah.
And it's like, and sometimes Draymond's out there too. It's like I mean, Chris Paul. This is the one knock on having him is like. He's not a guy that like wants to get out and pace and like, you know, do all that stuff. And he's not like a super reliable 3-point shooter. Like, he kind of wants to slow the game down, be methodical. And it's like this half court offense is broken. Absolutely broken.
They don't get many easy baskets. Even when they had like JaVale McGee and some other athletic big men, they always had that lob threat. Maybe TCD can be that guy, but you know, Kerr doesn't really like playing young guys all that consistently. So it's going to be a grind for sure. Unless Wiggins and Clay can pull it together. I don't know why Corey Joseph's on the team. Another guard. You really need him. I would have loved, I was begging for Naz Reid. Begging for that guy. He didn't even cost that much. He would be perfect on this Warrior team. But nope, they just love their small guys. So it is what it is.
How many people you think bet today on McCaffrey scoring?
A lot of people.
I mean, I feel like everyone's. Yeah, you got to do it every week.
And they were. I just saw this. Check. I want to show you guys a bet. The craziest bet. Proctor just sent me this bet here. Ryan, you're gonna love this college basketball hit. Unbelievable. Watch this bet right here. 4 college basketball dogs and capped it off with Hawaii. Look at this. Plus.
How was
Watch when you see the total plus line.
Oh my God.
Wait, let me pull it up here. Look at that. Plus, is that 3 million?
300? No.
Is that 3,199,000 to 918? Is that what it is?
How much did they put on it?
$3,199,918.
Yeah, $5 won $160,000.
No.
$5 bet.
Jesus.
Now, how in the world? And look, it's because Air Force lost.
Oh,
See,
they
Air
lost
Force,
again, huh?
whatever Air Force, they're always involved in this way. They help this guy, but they're big favorites and they lose all the time. Jeez, look at
I had a great run for a long time betting against teams that flew into Hawaii to play them college football. Just 19-year-old, 18-year-old kids going over to the islands for the first time, partying like hell on a Friday night, will not play well on Saturday. That hit a lot for me.
There you go.
Like 8 straight years on that.
If the guy had put $1,000 down on that, would that have broken that bookie?
Well, I think that was FanDuel.
It was FanDuel. Yeah, they'd be okay then.
They'd be okay. Mine's like
been...
I get like limited, like,
man,
like you can't do too high.
That's how you do it. A bunch of college dogs and just
$5 turns into 160,000.
I mean, how's that for a day?
Oh, I mean, college basketball. That's smart. Like betting the half. St. Mary's fucking blew it today.
Did they lose?
So high on them? Yeah, they were up like 24 versus Weber State. Scored 10 points total in the second half. Lost by 3.
Is it easier to bet a money line dog for halftime?
Yeah, because it's like, think about the like the NCAA tournament. Like how many times it's like you'll see like a 1 seed, like all of a sudden they're on the ropes with a 16 seed in the first half. Yeah. But then it's like the second half they end up winning by $1 billion. Like I saw that a bunch. Like Long Beach like some random school like I've never even heard of was up on half versus UCLA. Like a lot of like really weird things like that. Kentucky almost was down to like Texas A&M and Winthrop or something.
Yeah, you guys can't bet FanDuel in California, can you?
No, it's not cute.
Verboten.
Yeah. So this whole thing with the Warriors, though, it is concerning when you watch them because they spend so much energy trying to shoot their way back into a game, and then they get back. Like last night, they were down 16 to Cleveland, and they actually took the lead at the end of the third quarter, and then they got a tip in at the buzzer at the end of the third quarter, and they went into the fourth down 1, and it was like that's as close as they ever got. Cleveland put it real quick to 6, 7, and then it was 10, and it was over. They had nothing left because they're getting beat so badly when against these taller teams, because the second quarter, Curry's off there's no shooting. You got Looney off the floor usually, right? Isn't he off the floor in the second most of the time, Rye?
Yeah.
So you got your rebounding, and you got your second units, Paul, Kuminga, Moody. Is it Wiggins for the most part out there with them? Trying to remember who GP2. Yeah. So anybody with height, you got two. I mean, guys with Cleveland, they can send either Mobley or Allen out there. And today you got Cat, and you got Gobert, and then you got what's the guy's name?
McDaniel is long. Kyle Anderson's long. Like
McDaniel, but the guy we were thinking of, I'm drawing a blank. Los, you said you wanted him.
Naz Reid.
Yeah, Naz Reid.
Naz Reid.
Yeah. Isn't he the one that punched his hand last year? No, that was McDaniels that broke his hand before the playoffs. Minnesota, Rye, you said there was going to be a surprise team that sneaks in the top 3. I think it's Minnesota.
I already bet them 33-1 to win the West.
That's a good bet.
They were OKC. I love OKC too.
That's my thinking. I have both of those. Okay,
I think
50
I think the old guard is going away. The old guard being Golden State, the Lakers, and
the
who's
Clippers.
the other? The Clippers. Yeah, the Clippers. I don't even think they'll make the playoffs.
No, like seriously, like there was like some rumblings, like, oh, Kawhi Leonard. Oh, the Warriors want to trade for Kawhi Leonard. Like, I don't want him. They need somebody. They need young juice. Like,
Yes.
you see what Anthony Edwards is like. That guy can do that every day, and it's easy.
And the Lakers are not looking all that great either. I mean,
I would be down for one last
Yeah,
rendezvous if
amazing.
LeBron wanted to get traded.
You know, it'd be interesting to do a trade. Does Chris Paul stay the whole year, or I think he does if they start winning. But what do you do if they are losing and they're close to, maybe they're a few games under 500 near the trade deadline?
Trade him.
Yeah.
Clay, you're not getting the extension. Like,
Now Clay's
GP2, I would come off GP2 too. I mean, he gives you good defense, good perimeter, but he doesn't get really any scoring. And I never saw really the infatuation with him. He's a good player.
Here's a question for you.
To me.
Does it ever get so bad like it was the year they went 15-67? Does it ever get so bad where they're a 25 to 30 win team? They're 30-52 or 32-50. Does it ever get that bad where Curry leaves to finish his career somewhere else?
How many more years does he have on his contract?
3 or 4.
Oh,
I don't think he'll. I don't.
If he gets traded, then
They won't. I don't think he'll leave. But like, I mean
is he going to want to finish? I know he wants to finish as a Warrior, and he would. But if how are they going to get?
Imagine if Curry
compete?
missed 30 games this year. Very reasonable.
What's that?
Like a very reasonable. Like, what if Curry, sprained MCL or like, dislocated finger, just like something like where he missed like 30 games this year. Like, they'd be toast.
Yeah,
they'd be one of the worst teams in the league. Maybe the worst.
Let's look at them logically as you look at them. They're very old. Clay is old. He's slow. He's can really only get his shot off if he's wide open. When he dribbles and tries to create, it's worse than last year. I thought he would get better this year, like worked on it in the summer.
Sad thing is Curry's older than Clay. Yeah, we call Clay old because Steph keeps himself in shape. He takes it seriously. He works out. He's in phenomenal shape. Clay's very, lackadaisical. Let's be honest. Let's call it what it is. He doesn't exactly. He's not at work. He's not in the gym all the time. He's out on his boat.
Clay looks.
You get away with that in your 20s when you're a great shooter and you can move your feet and play D. Now that he's older, it's catching up to him. But you know what? I hate to say this, but Steph Curry has nobody to blame but himself, because behind closed doors, when they went to Steph and asked him, well, what do you want? Well, I want Draymond back. I want Clay back. I want the big three to win championships together. I mean, I don't know that happened for a fact, but if I had to bet on it, which we talk a lot about here, I would say Steph wanted Draymond back and he wanted Clay back. So if you wanted the sentimental thing, then don't complain about it now when it's not working. If you wanted to win another title, Steph, you would have gotten bigger and younger, but you didn't want to.
Well, this is what the one thing.
Neither did the organization. So
I don't understand. I mean, it's it's. I mean, they're all 33 plus, right? I mean, Curry's 35 or 6.
35. And
Clay's
Clay are 33.
33, 34, 35, right in there. And then, think about it. Looney's only like 27, but he plays like he's 33.
Looney looks
Tell you what the problem is.
He's got a lot of miles on his legs.
Chase Center is too close to Oracle Park. There's something catching there. Something's catching. Should have stayed in Oakland.
There's no home court this year. Like they were 33-6 last year, 1-3 this year.
Are we going to see the
only gets
opposite?
in. It's like one of those things where it's like it is a smart crowd. Like, you know, it's not going to be as rowdy. It's still a smart crowd. Like, but they're used to. They understand that like everyone is like feeling awkward about like Clay missing layups and like it just feels awkward and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
For
I also
everyone.
don't like the atmosphere compared to Oakland. If you watch the games, the beginning of the third quarter for the first 5 minutes, there's nobody in the stands because they're all in that beautiful plush arena, you know, going to get their drinks and their food and, you know, hanging out. And they come back, and the third quarter's always been the Warriors' big quarter. They're losing that energy to start the third quarter. They really don't show up until about 7-8 minutes to go when they're all back in their seats. It's crazy. You just look at this.
You got to remember too, Warrior fans are extremely passionate about their players, especially the old timers. If they did trade Clay, oh my God, you think the Monte Ellis thing was bad? It would be worse for Clay. But, you know, again, Warrior fans got to ask themselves, do you want the big three to stick together or do you want another title?
I don't know what you get for Clay other than somebody might give you something because it's an expiring contract and they want to get him off the books.
I think the thing with Clay is like he'll be a good playoff player. Like I really believe that. Like this team is going to be most dangerous like in a playoff situation where it's like they can really bank on the experience and all that kind of shit, and they have days off and they can really focus. It's just that this regular season, like how are they going to keep pace? Like I just don't know how, like, because like the age thing, like Clay, it's not that Clay has completely lost it. It's just that he can only really give you old Clay once every 7 games, 8 games, maybe 3 times in a playoff series.
I think Clay could still be a good player if he could swallow his pride and come off the bench. If Kerr and Dunleavy were really serious, they would go, you know what? Maybe it's Moody time. Let's give Moody 30, 32 minutes a game. Clay, we're going to cut you down to about 20, 25. You're going to come off the bench. That's just the way it is. Thank you for everything you've done. You're not the player you used to be. And Clay will either fight it, which I think he will. He thinks he's still.
How about this for a starting lineup? Backcourt of Curry and Moody, front court Looney, Green, and Kuminga, and have.
My question is just with spacing. I mean, like, who are they respecting? Like
Moody.
You could say Moody that is a good 3-point shooter, but like if I'm the other team, like I'm not respecting that shit. Like, you know, unless he starts hitting like 4 threes a game at like a 40% clip.
What are you going to do with Wiggins though? Wiggins looks horrible.
The thing about Moody is that I hear you, Ryan. The Warriors always need spacing because they always focus on shooting. But with Moody, unlike Clay, Moody can go to the basket. You have to respect his drives to the basket because he can go to the basket. He has a nice pump fake, and he can hit the outside shot. So Moody, he doesn't have the resume Clay does at all. But right now, he might be a better player.
Yeah, it's just so devastating because it's like, you're playing these teams with like a big big athletic power forward, and then a big center. And it's like, all right, if you have Draymond and Looney out there, both of them can just camp in the paint. And then, there's no driving lanes. Like this year, usually like if Steph doesn't have it going 3-point wise, he just starts just absolutely, just scoring inside. And it's just awesome. But it's like, there's no, this is like the worst offense I've seen like Steph, not like in terms of production, but in terms of the shots he's getting. Like he is launching crazy threes at just unsustainable levels and just almost exclusively threes, it seems like. And then like he's making them because he's so incredible. But like it's so not sustainable. Like what if Curry's shooting like 46% from 3? Like imagine if he just shot like 35 for a month. Like
You know, when Holiday was out there, I wanted him way more than I wanted Chris Paul.
Oh yeah.
Young, athletic, great defender who can create his own shot. And he's with Boston now.
Yeah.
Sentimental, guys. I mean, I hate to say it, but the Warriors wanted to just run it back. If you think about the dynasties in the Bay Area, discount the Raiders. We'll just focus on the Giants, the Warriors, and the 49ers. Talking about the Niners in the 80s. Which dynasty sustained the longest?
Niners.
And why is that?
Because they got rid of guys a year too early.
Bingo. That's exactly why. Bo Walsh was like, I only want you in your good years. He didn't give a shit about sentimental. Thank you for all your great championships. Ronnie Lott, you can go. I mean, God, if you can get rid of Ronnie Lott and Joe Montana.
And Roger Craig, they all went to the Raiders. Well, besides Montana went to the Chiefs, but Craig and Lott went to the Raiders.
And Walsh had confidence that young players that came in and learned under these superstars would eventually be maybe not quite to their level, but be good players. And he built depth with cheaper salaries. And that's why the Niners
from
for 18 years, they were relevant.
81 to 2000, they were in the playoffs almost every year. 82, that was a strike year. They went like it was
from
just
81 to 98, they were relevant every year. That year you just talked about, every year they were in the hunt for the playoffs and the championship.
Yeah, there was a period they went
the exact opposite. They held on to their players, older, sentimental, and they're going to pay the price for it. So when fans are like crying and complaining about it, it's like you're the same fans. Like, oh, we want Clay back, we want to retire him as a Warrior, and Chris Paul. So it is what it is. It's like Ryan said, it's a young man's league. Even the bad teams have like these athletic bigs that they can play. They can play.
The Rockets are on a 5-game winning streak right now. They just beat Jokic and the Nuggets tonight. Like,
wow.
In an 82-game season, like you need those young legs and those athletic legs. Like,
didn't it look like the
Warriors
Cavs?
Right now, wait until we get until February and March.
Yeah. Didn't it look like the Cavs were, and even tonight, Minnesota, and I would probably expect more Tuesday night, kind of just playing with them. Like,
yes,
it's like the Cavs were just like, they knew they were better. There's no stopping.
And the Cavs are what, like 4 and 5? And
yeah.
it felt the exact same way both times. It's like, not only do they have like Donovan Mitchell and Garland are both like incredible like initiators of offense. They both can give you 30 in any given game. Like Mitchell's averaging like 30. They're both guys that can hit threes. They can do all this stuff, and they play defense. And it's not like, oh, that's their whole team. No, they also have Mobley, who's like one of the best defensive players in the league. Jared Allen, who's a great defensive player and a good offensive center. They have like all sorts of just like big wings, LeVert, and athleticism. And then they've got their guys like Strus, who's like, that's their Clay. It's like, he's like their 7th man, and he shoots some threes here and
what
there.
Really is tough when you face a team that long, like you said, Coletta and Fitz are talking about, well, their shooting's off. Well, their shooting's off because of their length. It's like, it's really tough to pass the ball when guys have 7-foot wingspans and you're trying to move the ball to get it to an open shot. I mean, it's really, really tough. And that's why teams that have length are going to give the Warriors fits, because not only do they have length, but they're quick. And the Warriors, I mean, you brought it up, Los. I mean, Clay is slow. I mean, Curry is having to, as he always has, but it seems like even more so when they're playing these bigger teams. He's having to run twice all around, and some of his shots are ending up at the logo, and he's just hoisting, and they're not even set shots. They're like, oh man, I'm coming off a screen, boom, just fire, because that's all he can get. It's
tough to watch, because I've always loved Clay's game, his demeanor, low key, he's not real drama. But if he refuses to take a bench role, then he is becoming kind of drama, sadly.
Which teams? Let's take a look at those.
What team can you think of that is not athletic in the league
and long?
Yeah, that's what I want to.
They all are.
I want to
Like
look
maybe
at
the Kings, and the Warriors do well versus
That's
them.
the team the Warriors match up well against.
And maybe the Suns.
No.
All right, so let's look at these. Can you guys? Oops, let me get that. Pull that up here. I'll show you. We'll look at the teams just because I think that Sixers, they're long. I mean, you got Embiid, and then you got the quickness with Maxey. They're a better team without Harden, aren't they? Way better.
Oh yeah, and like Tobias Harris, a good scorer, and he's big. He's like 6'10". Like
I wanted to buy Harris a year ago, and I remember
Batum's big. The other guy they got in their Harden trade is big. Like they're just
I wanted Siakam from Toronto. I heard the Warriors.
Oh, that would be nice.
Boston's big.
Boston was already super length, had super length plus Horford, and now they have Porzingis.
Right.
Miami doesn't. Well, I mean, they have Bam, but
it looks like they could probably play with Miami, Indiana, Atlanta, Orlando.
Not even, or yeah, I guess probably Atlanta.
The Knicks, they're not super long. They got a couple guys. Milwaukee,
no chance.
No way, no chance. Nets, Raptors, okay. Cleveland, no chance. We've seen that twice. It's really only a few teams. Denver, they're not going to be able to. I mean, Denver was playing without Jamal Murray the other night. Yeah, they didn't have Draymond and GP2 the other night, but you bring in Murray into that game, man, I don't think it's as close. Dallas,
they were going to, whenever they play the Spurs, I'm betting the Spurs because you saw in preseason, like Collins and Wembanyama, like, they can't do anything. Clay's getting his shot blocked from 3.
It's really only about 5 teams that are going to give them fits. It's Philly, Boston, Cleveland. There's 3. Milwaukee 4. Denver, Minnesota. I think the Rockets are going to be and you know what? Oklahoma's going to play them tough because the Warriors beat them, but they didn't have
SGA. They barely beat
have
them.
SGA.
Okay, so the Rockets are big. Like Şengün's like 7 foot now, and he's like a mini Jokic. Then they have Jabari Smith, who's like tall, long power forward that can shoot. They've got that Thompson kid from the draft who's also like 6'10", athletic and long. And then they have Jalen Green and like,
Houston's gonna
Fred VanVleet who kills the Warriors.
Yeah, and then Pelicans will be a tough game for them too. I mean, they've already beat them, I guess, but still. Gosh, look at how far Memphis has fallen. Without
Memphis is screwed.
I mean, Jaw's out for what, 25 games suspension?
Yeah,
and they. I mean, I can't stand Dylan Brooks, but they're missing him.
Mm-hmm.
That tenacity. Now he's with Houston, right? He's with Houston.
He's with Houston.
Even if the Warriors don't match up well, if they have one of their hot shooting nights, they'll win, and it masks the flaws of their team. That's why when they started out well, I was like still saying they're going to have problems.
But the West looks pretty weak. Look at the West. I mean,
not to play shoulda, woulda, coulda, but like this is why like it's so stupid that like I do feel like the Warriors and KD specifically were like almost bullied out of like keeping that thing going. And like it's just so stupid because you see how many like super teams are made now and like they don't work. But it's like in reality, like KD stayed, that freaking worked. And now it's like imagine this team with like KD now. Like, look, KD's not having the best season right now. But still like he can still like he's still like a bucket and he's still wet and he's still like tall and lanky.
Yeah, definitely.
MF. I don't see it happening, Ohtani. He also said, did the Giants sign this other guy, the Japanese first baseman or something?
My God, why are they going to?
I don't know. Who knows?
Please don't do that. Please don't do that. I'm still the only one that doesn't want Ohtani. Not at 55, 60 million a year.
Well,
who's going to hit behind him?
Yeah.
Who's going to hit behind him, MF? Like I know you're just reporting the
Austin Slater.
Ohtani's going to have 300 walks. Then you're going to pay him $55 million to walk.
He's going to be with the Dodgers. He's going to be with the Dodgers.
He's not coming to the Giants.
He's going to the Dodgers. Just book it. I mean, he hasn't been to the playoffs in his entire career. The Dodgers have made it 11 straight trips. It's like a guarantee. So
Ohtani wants to win. He'll get paid well somewhere else and win.
Yeah. So
miserable here, making not miserable, making not much money, but I mean, losing every year.
Hey, Ryan, we're going to have a Friday night show late for our fantasy league. It's a trade deadline Friday night.
Ooh.
So we're going to see if we can get some deals flying left and right.
I like it.
So trade deadline show, see what's happening. Who knows?
All right. I think I'm going to take off, guys, but thank you so much for having me.
We're going to head out of here, too.
Take it easy, Rye. Thanks for joining, man.
Have a good one, Rye.
Later.
The great Rye Smith. All right, everybody. We're going to head out of here, too, because we have been going 1.5 hours, and that is enough. We'll come back tomorrow night, depending on if I win or not. When's our next show? When are we going to do another show?
I want to know if I'm still invited to the Military History Chronicles.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime, man.
Despite today's fantasy outcome.
Oh, yeah. Not a problem. You're always welcome.
Yeah,
I will come on soon.
We'll figure out when we're gonna come on. Everybody, tell your friends and family. Get them to subscribe.
Yes.
Everybody, you know somebody that you're gonna see in the next 2 days that you know really well. Do me a favor.
Make it a Christmas gift. This is the time of giving. So tell them about
do something. Do us a favor. Take 2 people and just have them open their phone to YouTube right away, and have them subscribe to NorCal Sports Network. Maybe 3, since we have a smaller crowd tonight. That'll get us over the hump. We've got to get over 1,000 here, because YouTube will be monetized. We'll start getting better placement. They'll start pushing us more because ads will start being played, and YouTube wants those ads, that revenue, so take 2 or 3 people, whether it's your family members or just workmates. Just say, hey, do me a favor. Watch a show. You don't have to just subscribe. I mean, I see things on YouTube from shorts, right? I watch some shorts and I hit subscribe. I'm like, that looks interesting. I might want to see it again. I don't sit there and watch their shows, but I'm subscribed. So
word of mouth is very powerful. So,
yeah.
But you got to open the mouth in order to do that. So it doesn't
please subscribe, and we'll be back. We'll see what is going on. We'll kind of measure the flow of things going on. Tomorrow night's game is Buffalo, Denver. Yeah. So, and then we've got Niners this week coming up with Tampa. So, any Giants news that breaks will definitely be on.
Oh yeah.
Any significant signings, not Jared, Chad Pinder's brother has been signed.
Oh man.
Where will AJ Pollock end up?
Yeah. So I'm not expecting a whole lot. So we'll see. But hey, everybody, thanks for joining, and appreciate it. Hit the like button, and again, tell your friends, family members to subscribe, and we will see you sometime in the next few nights. Everybody have a great one. Later.
Avast, you scurvy scum!